What is up, homies? Welcome back to another review from Heroes Reforged. We're doing a spoiler review of the Fantastic Four. First steps, if you have not seen the movie yet and you want to know our thoughts, go check out our non-spoiler review. We give you some very quick thoughts on how we feel about the movie without getting into the details, but this is the nitty-gritty.
So full spoilers.
Full spoilers, baby.
Everything.
From the moment I say go. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Dr. Doom's in this bitch, dude.
movie.
Dr. Doom's in this bitch.
Oh, do we think it's Robert Downey Jr.? It's got to be. It's got to be Robert Downey Jr.
Does it gotta be?
Yes.
Are you sure it's gotta be?
I think, even though this movie has so little of what we were just talking about, the connectivity, I think that the audiences that do go see this and they do see the end teaser with a Dr. Doom kidnapping Franklin Richards, and I can't wait to talk about Franklin with you here in a second. But
I know, dude.
When audiences see that and they have to carry that or remember that, or it's on Disney Plus and they see it and they catch it, and they're going to hold on to that until next Christmas for Avengers Doomsday. It's going to be the same character. Now, he didn't turn his head, and it wasn't Robert Downey Jr. because he maybe wasn't cast, wasn't available. But I think the mask that he was holding, the cloak that he has, that's going to be the one that is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, and the Russo brothers did direct that.
That little teaser. How do you know that? Or you already saw it online?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes.
So you knew he was going to be in this movie?
No, I knew that the Russo brothers directed it.
Oh.
A part of this movie?
Just the end credit scene.
Teaser,
but you didn't know what was inside
No,
the
I
end
had no
credits.
idea.
Okay. And it makes sense because they also did the same tag for Thunderbolts. They directed that. They're assembling their casts. And
which you could honestly tell immediately because it cuts to that and I was like, this looks different.
This looks different.
Yeah, it looked very different. Okay.
Interesting.
We got the big thing out of the way.
Yeah.
I know,
There's not a lot we can
we also didn't say it was the mid-credit scene.
Mid-credit scene.
Not the end credit scene.
Sure, yeah.
The end credit scene was
There is
the
an
cartoon.
end credit scene. It's just a cartoon.
Fun.
It's
It's
awesome.
fun. It's great.
I like that.
Stick around for it because it is fun.
But I want to bring up one more time a theory that I have, if I may, now that we know that this sort of like, what was it, Earth 823 or whatever it was? 828.
Don't disrespect Jack Kirby's
the birthday of Jack Kirby, the king of comics, which was a lovely little tag at the end of that too. I thought that was really great. Next time, put based on characters created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee at the beginning in like the opening credits. Next time, do
Not
that.
at the very end of the credits?
Yeah.
It wasn't at the beginning?
I don't remember, but do that and do like with special thanks to, to Jonathan Hickman or whatever kind of writers, artists they're like pulling some inspiration from. Although this felt mostly Kirby. The whole movie felt very early 60s Jack Kirby.
Sure.
But my theory is, guys, bear with me for a second. If we do pull back and we do reveal the secret sorcery sauce of Dr. Doom, that Dr. Doom banish these fools to this universe and wipe their memories, that could it have like restarted things in the universe and made things wonky so that they don't have an Iron Man, they don't have a Tony Stark, but that Tony Stark became Victor Von Doom instead. Does that make sense?
Possible, yeah.
Could like the shifting of the timeline or whatever, or if these characters are in a universe where they're not supposed to be, it's sort of, there's a comic book precedent.
Are you
to
saying that he's Tony Stark or are you saying he's Victor Von Doom?
Think about this. Because again, they have told us that there's a specific reason for it being Robert Downey Jr. Like it looks like him. There's a specific reason for it. What if my theory is that in this universe, let's say that even though it's like 60s, they never gave us a year, did they?
No.
So it's like, could that in that universe be the year 2025 or 2027 or whatever? I don't
Potentially.
know. Doesn't matter. But anyway, in the mid-century modern world, what if there was going to be a Tony Stark born and he was fated to be Iron Man? Then these guys or something messed something up. So then instead, he's born Tony Stark, but maybe he was born and raised in Latveria. Does that make sense? And then he'll have an accent. Yeah. He'll be from Latveria and basically take over the role of Dr. Doom from the Von Dooms. From I don't know. There's
essentially just Doom story, but with Tony Stark's skin.
Imagine Superman Red Son.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kal-El landing in Russia.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe that's going to be their explanation, is that in this universe, there wasn't, or a lot of these characters, like for example, I'm trying to think of like, if you guys have read the comic book House of M, where there was a majority of mutants and humans were in the minority, a bunch of characters sort of got their dream life. Like Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers got her dream life of being a superhero. Peter Parker got his dream life where he was married to Gwen Stacy. What if in this universe, just like in that House of M comic, Steve Rogers got his dream life, he was never frozen. And he was super soldier, but then just got to be an old man. Do you know what I mean? And then in this world, maybe Tony Stark's dream life is like, instead of being raised by his shitty dad, maybe he's raised by loving parents in Latveria. I don't know. But like things could maybe be moved around. So that's why there's not a Captain America or a Thor because they're sort of happier elsewhere. Does that make sense? But that's why the Fantastic Four. Anyway, I was just thinking about the Robert Downey of it and trying to like.
How was your car ride over
understanding
here?
why.
It was tense, bro.
So much caffeine.
It was tense.
Before
But anyway,
this review turns into the Doctor
I know.
Doom
I stopped.
theory,
Special.
Let's move on to something else. Let's move on to something else.
Review was,
Let's move on to something else. All I'm saying is that my stupid theory is not ruled out yet.
No,
It's
not yet.
We don't
no
know.
theories are ruled out yet. None of them. But let's focus on these characters,
Yeah.
what we loved, what we didn't love, and how we're feeling with spoiler talk.
Franklin Richards. Dude.
Franklin Richards, dude.
You were scared.
I still am scared, honestly. I still am scared because
But he was so cute.
he was adorable. He was great. But I think what makes the previous Infinity, not the multiverse saga, not as strong as it can be, is the lack of consequences of death. Franklin Richards brought Sue back to life. Spoiler alert. Sue dies at the end of this movie, and Franklin brings her back to life with the power cosmic. It's confirmed that Franklin has the power cosmic, which is one of the greatest forces in the MCU, right? And so to have a character that's bearing the power cosmic so early on in like this super important phase, I think is really dangerous. And I hope they really have thought out what's going on. And I think that's what's tied into Doctor Doom.
For sure.
100%.
I think he's going to steal Franklin instead of the Beyonder to power his secret Wars stuff.
shit.
Yeah.
He's going to tap
I didn't
Franklin.
even think about that.
He's going to tap
Yeah.
Franklin's powers, not the Beyonders, and he's going to use him as the battery to power the Secret Wars.
That's basically what I got from that post
Battle
credit scene.
planning.
Was
Yeah.
he's coming
Yeah.
for that kid.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I'm hoping that that's the direction they go, because having a being like Franklin that can just create a universe, he doesn't even have to think about using his powers. This is how powerful he is.
Yeah.
He just creates universes passively.
Yes.
He can create realities passively.
Well, I
And
mean,
this
when you
dude's
think
got
about
so
how he
much
brought
power.
Susan back to life,
Yeah.
it's a baby. Like
Exactly.
what, a month,
Awesome.
3 months old.
And not even just that, you saw the power cosmic in her
eyes.
eyeballs
Yeah.
when she woke up.
Guys,
He's
also-
tapping into something that he doesn't even know about.
Also, think about this. I want to say that this. Wait, hang on. Producer Mark says Hector panicked so hard at the death. I did. No, I mean, I think that was what I mentioned in the non-spoiler
Yeah.
review. Was like, I think everyone in the audience saw it coming, that the baby who we kept being told was as powerful as Galactus was going to bring her back, but we were all like,
Well, they really held on it.
They
for a
did.
while.
They
And
did.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I did too. I think, we got an
Yeah.
applause from producer Mark,
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.
But it was great,
Absolutely.
especially because after the whole movie, we all love Vanessa Kirby so much.
Oh my God.
She's such a standout performance and character.
I think we should
that-
talk about her and focus on her for the
Okay.
beginning of this, because
Okay.
her performance, absolutely stellar.
Yeah.
Sue Storm and other iterations has just been like, small power bubble,
Dude.
pass out.
Dude.
Small power bubble, pass. In this one, I think the bravest thing she did was walk out into that angry mob who wanted to steal that baby.
Oh, yeah.
And give it up
Yeah.
to Galactus.
Yeah.
That almost made me cry.
and-
She
yes,
walked out
and-
into an angry mob and introduced that angry mob to her son. That was crazy.
And said, I'm not giving up my son for
Yeah.
this earth, but I'm not giving up this earth for
That's
my
the
son.
moment. That's the moment that got me.
That
dude.
felt like some Superman shit,
Oh,
dude.
that was
felt like
some Superman shit.
I'm scared and I cry,
Yeah.
but that's what makes me
That's
human.
what makes me human,
Yeah.
dude. And I'm not gonna give up on people.
I'm not gonna give
up.
I'm gonna do it for everybody.
And I think, like Adam was saying earlier with our non-spoiler review, Reed and Sue, I think, are done the best. Their relationship, they're so in love, and we love that love.
Their chemistry is like Brosnahan and corn sweats. It's great.
I will say there's
go ahead.
one moment that I didn't like.
Go.
Oh.
There's one moment
Go. This
where,
is a spoiler review, baby. Get into
where
it.
Galactus steals Franklin
Oh.
and Reed is more concerned about Sue overdoing her powers than the baby
Than the
being
baby?
up
Sure.
in Galactus' hand.
I remember that moment. I don't
Yeah.
know if Reed and Johnny and Ben
Knew
saw
that he was up there?
because he
Okay.
grabbed him,
Yeah.
and then they're all coming out of the rubble.
Sure,
but
sure,
when I
sure.
watch it for the second time,
Yeah.
I'm going to pay attention to that.
Confirm that, because
I'm gonna pay
I could
attention
be
for that.
wrong.
Yeah.
And
Because I
was-
think she says, "Get the baby."
And
Yeah,
Reed's
yeah.
like, "What do you mean? Oh shit!"
Okay,
that kind
good.
of thing. But
'Cause
still, it's
that could have been a little bit more clear, but maybe I was just too like overwhelmed by everything else that was going on.
I
right?
love the way Pedro Pascal plays this character. Papacito Pedro, I think he plays him very much like a conflicted genius who is thinking about everything and is so distracted. That's Reed in the comics. But it also does kind of mean that Reed is a little bit of an absentee husband and father sometimes. Like he loves his son and eventually daughter.
Very internal.
He's so internal. So like, I think that came through, but I'm hoping that it doesn't turn off audiences to Reed Richards or to Pedro's performance. Do you know what I mean? Because he is a little, he can be cold at times, but I'm like, I think that's because that's what he's doing on purpose.
I think you're right.
But
because they hit that early on. The moment Sue announces she's pregnant, he's happy. And then he immediately starts thinking of all the worst things.
Yep. His brain's doing what Hector's brain did when he got in the car.
Yeah. Right when it opened, it's like Earth 2-3. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean?
There was, I can't remember. I can't pinpoint what moment it was in the movie.
But you were like, oh, Hector.
But there was one moment and I was like, that's fucking Hector. Oh my God. He's fucking Hector.
Yeah, Hector, you're our Reed, dude. You're
when he was like, he's like, this is how I organize my Blu-rays or something. And we were like, oh. Yeah, anyway.
Would you like to see my Hero Clicks collection?
Yes, exactly. But I think that speaking about Reed and Sue, I think that it's not unfair to say that Johnny and Ben don't get as many highlights in the film.
No, but their highlights are strong.
They're strong.
They have really good bro moments.
I will say this. I think it was okay. I will say that I think it was all on purpose. Again, it's almost like Superman. They're focusing on Clark and Lois, and some other side characters maybe are not going to get as much.
Yeah, like Jimmy Olsen didn't get too much in Superman.
Got some fun moments, really fun stuff. But I think that was also because the previous Fantastic Four movies, at least the ones that people liked, with Chris Evans as Human Torch and Ben and Michael Chiklis as Ben,
stuck out.
They stole those movies.
Yeah,
like Ben and Johnny stole those two movies. It's their movies. Like Michael Chiklis is the heart and soul of those films, and Chris Evans is hilarious. And I think they watched those and they went, "We can't just do the Thing and Human Torch show again. We need to make Reed seem great and Sue seem great, and then in future movies, I hope, or sequels or Avengers." Ben and Human Torch get their moments. I loved a lot of things about Ben, but I also think I would have loved, because here's the thing. My favorite Fantastic Four comics are the ones that Ben Grimm makes me cry.
Yeah.
Superman kind of moved me to tears in a Superman movie. Ben Grimm with his heroism, his heart, and it's just Jack Kirby. And it's this beautiful beating heart. Didn't quite make me cry with a moment or moments, but it's not his story. He's the uncle, right? Yeah. It's about Susan and it's about Reed.
It wasn't. They were setting seeds for his love affair that's going to happen in the future.
Yes,
which I think is going to be fantastic when they do end up doing that.
Totally.
And I do like that Johnny was not just the idiot hot boy who's just thinking with his dick all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like that he was smart and he was able to break the code while he knew that Reed was super obsessed with getting this problem solved.
That was one of my favorite moments was with him and Silver Surfer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a good moment. I agree. The important thing too is that dynamic is like, it made me feel a little bit like Full House, where it's like Danny Tanner is Reed, and then you had Uncle Joey and Uncle Jesse. I'm like, they feel like great uncles when they're carrying the baby, when they're, when Johnny at the end was like, I could just eat a baby. I didn't have breakfast today. I was like, I could watch them be a family all day.
Be uncles all day long.
Be uncles all day long. But I want to circle back to Franklin Richards, unless there's anything else you guys want to hit with these characters while we're here.
Shia LaBeouf, Silver Surfer's origin story. Adam, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, the non-spoiler, it feels just very familiar. And look, I'm not incredibly familiar with Silver Surfer from the comics.
Yeah.
What I know of Silver Surfer is mostly what Lawrence Fishburne and Doug Jones did in the last movie.
Yep.
So it felt very, very, very familiar to me. I thought we were going to see Norin Rad for a second.
Me too.
I thought so too.
I really I thought we were, but I understand why maybe not, because they didn't want to have to cast it or whatever. So I think I would have liked just a little bit more. It wasn't as emotionally sort of like gripped to the character like I was with maybe like Reed and Susan.
Yeah.
And I know it's like, it's not a main character. It's a supporting character. Same thing with Galactus. But I think sometimes even when they're the villains of the story, I want to really feel emotionally tied to them. And I didn't so much. But there are great moments with Silver Surfer, great visual moments where she's like chasing them through the wormhole.
Yeah.
That really shit was awesome.
Super
Even
rad.
at the end when Johnny thinks he's going to be the one to sacrifice himself and he says, tell Franklin I love him. His uncle loves him.
Great.
And then she comes in and basically
Saves
destroys
the day.
Galactus. There's really good moments with these characters.
It's crazy because I think this is also a case where like it is difficult to judge this movie on its own without the context of they tried this before with two movies, especially when one of the characters from those movies was in a movie last year, Deadpool and Wolverine. That Human Torch, we were just cinematically reminded of those movies again. And I think the frustrating thing is when these earlier Marvel movies tried one of these stories, like for example, the Dark Phoenix saga in the X-Men movies, or with their sequel, twice. Rise of the Silver Surfer, it did enough of the Silver Surfer storyline and adapting The Coming of Galactus, the famous 3-part comic book from the 60s, that like, it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. They did it once, they kind of fucked it up, and it also fucked it up for future versions that are going to try it themselves.
Yeah.
And as opposed to like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies have kind of done stories that the Sam Raimi movies didn't do. They've avoided those characters until they just reuse those characters to good effect. So they've been okay. We haven't gotten into X-Men stuff, but we're in the Fantastic Four territory. And I don't blame Marvel Studios for looking at their stuff and going, well, they didn't do Galactus right. Let's do Galactus. And I want to talk about that for a second. This Galactus at times felt like Interstellar, like stressful, where I was like, how are they, you think they're going to solve
this guy's unbeatable.
And then they fail. And I'm like, how are they going to, like, it stressed me out. And especially because they didn't do the dumb trick in the comic books where the Watcher shows up and goes, you need the ultimate nullifier. That will scare Galactus away. And then problem solved. There's no Watcher. There's no ultimate nullifier. There's no, so those moments where Reed and everyone's going, I have nothing. I was like, this is great.
The stakes felt real.
I love that the whole movie is Galactus. The whole movie. The problem is, again, we did it in 2007. To us, it doesn't feel like that long ago. It was 18 years ago. But again, not that long ago when they were on Disney Plus. The Human Torch, Johnny Storm, Chris Evans was in Deadpool and Wolverine last year. It's like there's in a way, they're still sort of, Michael Chiklis was just on social media going, hey, thanks everybody for the Fantastic Four love.
It's still kind of fresh in your head.
Yeah. And again, it's like they did enough of that whatever they do here, it will seem rehashed. And it's like, that's when you realize, I think that's why they gender bent Silver Surfer. And there is a Shalabal version of Silver Surfer from the comics, so there's precedent, so that's great. But imagine if this movie had a male Silver Surfer, it would have been exactly like that movie. And then if it was a male Silver Surfer, they probably would have done a little bit of what the original comics did and what they tried to do with the Jessica Alba movie. Susan Storm is the one that convinces Silver Surfer not to destroy the Earth. And Silver Surfer almost kind of falls in love with her a little bit because Susan's great. We all love Susan. And if they had done that, it would have been exactly the same as what Jessica Alba was trying to do in that last. So they went, oh, if it's a woman Silver Surfer, we can have Johnny be the guy. And that worked to great effect. But it's all familiar because it's like they're just doing The Coming of Galactus. A movie 18 years ago tried it with a cloud and it didn't work. But now, so they
got the tech to do it.
So it's almost like be prepared because in a couple of years, they're probably going to try to do the Dark Phoenix saga, but they're going to do it way better. But we're going to be like, this seems like X-Men: The Last Stand.
Time.
Yeah. And it's like,
here's the thing though, Hector. I dislike all those movies so much that I don't care that they've been
for
done.
sure.
Yeah.
And
I don't care.
Listen, dude, I don't love Rise of the Silver Surfer. I'm
those
just saying,
movies don't exist in my brain.
For sure.
Like
That's
for
fair.
real,
That's
You
fair.
neuralize them out of your brain.
I spend zero time thinking about those movies because I can't wait for these stories to get redone and these characters to get recast in the MCU.
Me too, dude.
Because I dislike the first however Fantastic Four movies were made.
This is a great version.
And also the X-Men movies. I really dislike those movies too. So to me, it's
great.
It's different because I don't have that attachment to those movies.
That's I think the other thing that sets this one apart, again, it's retrofuturistic, 60s, another universe.
So fresh.
Yeah.
Totally.
So they can rehash similar things, but it still feels in some ways different enough, but familiar. And you have to kind of decide in your brain, am I okay with that or not?
Right. Two things I want to talk about before we get back to Franklin.
I want to get to Franklin.
I want to hear Adam's thoughts on Reed's power usage. And I want to talk about Mole Man.
Yeah. We gotta talk about Mole Man.
Mole Man was so fucking
Producer
good.
Mark going like this, talking about Mole Man.
I fucking love Mole Man.
Producer Mark coming in from behind a tree, like,
He's
we're gonna talk about Mole Man.
This funny motherfucker.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my
that's great.
God, Mole Man was so good.
Reed, stretch your powers.
Stretch your pants.
What do we think?
Well, I think the thing that we talked about when we walked out of the movie was those first two films with Mr. Fantastic. They had him do everything imaginable.
The goofiest shit.
Wrapping his hand like the goofiest, silliest shit. With Reed, he doesn't use his powers that much in this movie compared to, well, definitely not compared to Johnny. He's powered up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And then Ben Grimm is obviously Ben Grimm always.
Yeah.
But they used it very effectively and only when it needed to be used. Every once in a while, he'll like grab something or move something.
Or he's on the chalkboard longer.
Yeah, but for the most part, they really reserve it for when there's like a big action sequence or something really chaotic is happening. Like when they're in the ship going to Galactus or trying to escape or whatever. And I liked that. And I thought for the most part, it looked good. And I like that they didn't try to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And man, when Galactus is trying to pull him apart,
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah,
that
dude.
was brutal.
It
Yeah.
almost like you can almost see his
Yeah, I was
shoulders
like,
dislocating.
oh,
And like
It was great.
It was
but
good.
I honestly think that like the most interesting stuff, I'm glad I agree, and I'm glad too, because the most interesting thing about Reed Richards, the character, when you talk to comic book fans and Fantastic Four fans,
Yeah.
and they start talking about these characters, I feel like the fact that he stretches is like the 12th most interesting thing about him. You know what I
His
mean? Like
intellect is
there's
the-
so many more
Yeah.
Reed things to get through that I think they were rightfully focusing on.
If
How
his
he is-
power was
yeah.
literally nothing
Yeah.
other than
it
intelligence,
would, it would
great.
still be, it would feel like a classic Silver Age comic because
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah.
like the X-Men had Charles Xavier, I guess he had mental powers, but like he was, you know, he was a wheelchair user, and then the X-Men were active, or the Doom Patrol, same thing, had like Dr. Niles Calder, didn't have any powers, just a smart guy, and then the Doom Patrol did shit, or the Metal Men was just like, I'm Dr.
Right.
Doc Magnus, and then the Metal Men had powers.
Yeah.
So it feels very
Yeah,
60s,
yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah.
he can stretch.
Yeah.
So it's real fun.
He got stretchy pants.
Okay. And then you wanted to talk about Mole Man.
Of course, dude. Of course. I thought this was going to be such an inconsequential character.
Me
No.
too.
When they introduced him at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it just, I always draw the parallels of this movie to The Incredibles when the Underminer
The
first
Underminer.
popped up. It
Yes.
was almost
Yes.
the same character.
Yes.
It's, I'm the Underminer. Like that vibe came in with this character.
Mhm.
Totally.
And I love that they had to use him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of his lines were fucking gold.
They were
like
good.
everything was just, every line he dropped was gold.
It
He's
was
like,
so
Butter me
good.
up.
wipe your feet, please. Just
Well,
kidding. It's all dirt down here. Just so good.
So I kind of knew that he was going to come back. I got it spoiled for two reasons.
Mm.
Number
Oh.
one, there's a Fantastic Four tie-in comic book that just came out.
Okay.
That I know I talked to you guys about it before, and I'm
Oh, it
planning
just
to.
came out?
It just came out.
Oh, I thought it already had come out.
No, a week ago it came
Oh,
out,
wow.
and it's Fantastic Four First Steps, issue number 1. You go see it and you read it, and it's written like as though it's in the universe, and that the Future Foundation made this comic book to, on their 4-year anniversary of them getting powers, remind everybody how they first appeared. Their first, after they get hit with the cosmic rays and then come back, they were in like a quarantine because they didn't know if their powers were gonna like kill them
Affect
or what.
people, yeah.
Affect people if they're contagious. And they're in a quarantine out in the desert somewhere in the United States where they originally launched their rocket from. And the Mole Man attacks New York. And that's what made them go, guys, it has to be us. We have to go stop. And they like stop the monsters. And it's like the cover of the first issue of the Fantastic Four. I mean, the first original comic is them fighting the Mole Man. Except at the end of that comic, which I just reread, also the 1961 book, they just like nuke Monster Island, and
Oh.
they like get out of there and the Human Torch. They don't nuke it, but Mole Man had nuclear bombs that he was going to use on the surface world. So they escape, and Human Torch like burns a cavernous path, and all this rock falls down so that they can block their exit as the Fantastic Four escape from all these monsters that are chasing them. And then as they're flying away in the ship, nuclear bombs just go off on Monster Island. And Reed Richards is like, well, hopefully that's the last of Mole Man. They're sort of like maybe his threat has ended Earth, but maybe not. And maybe he'll come back. And if he does, we'll be ready. Like that's how they fly off into the sunset.
Yeah.
So this movie tie-in Fantastic Four comic flips it. And they have the Fantastic Four debut. They stop the monsters, but when they go down into Subterranea, because he did kidnap a building, just like they showed us in the movie, when the Fantastic Four arrive, it's Susan who really takes charge and goes, well, what are you doing? What do you want? And he's like, what do I want? I want my own country, and I want to be recognized by the UN. And and Susan's like, okay, then we'll figure that out, because he had a whole society down there.
Yeah.
And they attacked because while they were building the Baxter building, they drilled into Subterranea, but they didn't know. So Reed is like, we didn't know. And Susan
my bad.
begins the diplomacy, and then we saw in the flashback that like she makes it so that Subterranea is its own country.
Yeah.
So that won the respect of Mole Man. So that was my number one indication that like, oh, okay, I think he's going to be in
Come
the
back.
movie.
Yeah.
And with the opening part of the movie showing all that, I was like, I think he's going to come back. And number two, the score was released by Michael Giacchino, and one of the later tracks had some pun to do with Mole Man. And I was like,
okay.
so maybe when Galactus shows up, maybe Mole Man helps or something.
Helps in
I
one
see.
way or
And I
another,
knew,
yeah.
I was like, maybe he'll help, because I read the comic where they became allies. And then the movie showed us he just respects Sue, which is great. Like he hated Reed, fucking hated surface dwellers, but he's like, Susan Storm,
You're good. You're okay.
she's good people.
You're
so
good. You're good, yeah.
I like the way they utilized them, where everyone just
Yeah.
evacuated to
Yeah, I thought it
Subterranean.
was
Yeah.
great usage. I thought the character almost stole the show, honestly. I'm glad he wasn't in the movie more because I only would have focused on Moment.
Yeah. Could you dim the lights, please? And it's like, oh my God, this guy. It's so funny. It's
So-
great.
Then they ended up cutting Red Ghost out of the movie, which
Yeah,
was going to be
they
played by John
mentioned him.
Malkovich.
Yeah.
Mention
Mention
Red
him,
Ghost,
and then they show like an animated version
Yep.
of him in the
Yes.
opening at the end
Yep.
of that cartoon,
the animated stuff.
which I truthfully understand
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like Mole Man still had a role to play later on in the film. If Red Ghost didn't, I get why they cut him out.
Yeah,
It
because
makes
maybe
sense to
audiences
me.
would have been like, "Oh, surely John Malkovich is coming back."
Yeah, it's
and
John
then we would have
Malkovich.
been like, "No,
he's
And
not.
it would have been a great cameo pop in the beginning in that little opening
Yeah,
montage
yeah.
because I mean we saw a super ape. It was really
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
when
yeah.
Rudy Richards kicked the super ape into like the
into
New
the
York
water.
harbor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I get it too. But I hope they bring him back. I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
dang, dude.
I mean, I don't necessarily miss it. I do
Yeah.
think that it would have felt maybe a little too much with
Too
an
much.
extra villain at the very beginning.
Yep.
And then to forget about him later
yep.
would be a little too much.
Yeah, I do think that people would have walked into it going like, well, where's the payoff for that character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
absolutely.
they had something where like they showed John Malkovich like in a jail cell watching the news about Galactus and just
Yeah.
being like, I'm stuck. I can't do anything.
Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The other thing they mentioned, along with these other villains, I mean, we had the Wizard, we had Diablo,
Mhm.
and then we had Puppet Master.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm,
Puppet Master is a guy named Philip Masters. His daughter is Alicia Masters.
mhm.
But what the hell? Ben Grimm was flirting with Natasha Lyonne's character. It's a completely different character. People thought Natasha Lyonne was going to be Alicia Masters.
Oh, interesting.
But she was
Okay.
just like this great New York Jewish woman.
Yeah.
I love the moment where Ben goes to the synagogue or the Jewish temple or the church and I have no idea about Jewish culture, obviously, and the Jewish faith, but he goes and I love that moment because his Jewish identity is such a big part of that character, massive part of the character. And the fact that the movie took a breath to be like, here's what Ben would be doing in the final 24 hours if this was the end of the world.
Yeah.
And it was romantic and it was just great. So I'm really happy that Natasha Lyonne was in the movie. But Ben's one true pairing is Alicia Masters. Is Alicia going to be somebody in their universe? Is Alicia going to be somebody in the MCU? Are they going into the MCU? Are they stuck there? Or
We don't know yet.
Guys.
I mean, we don't know.
this is what we talked about on our stupid podcast
Yeah,
with Brandon and Jenna. And Jenna was like, I don't want
Exactly.
Alicia Masters to be from their universe. I want,
Yeah.
You got another year and a half to mull this over.
And everything, honestly, up to this point, I feel like that we've talked about is going to be all speculation.
Yeah.
Like we want to get back to Franklin. Everything
Yeah.
that we're going to talk about with Franklin is literally
Yes.
speculation because this homeboy can do everything.
All I wanted to say about Franklin is that the way that he was used in this movie, being the most powerful being ever, but just a baby and just brought back his mom, I was so happy with that. I even with like,
You didn't want to see superpowered baby?
no,
Good.
no,
Me too.
I mean, no. And even with 4 years later and he's just like a toddler,
right. Just a kid.
just a kid, great. But then again, it makes me nervous because the other side of the Fantastic Four being in the main Marvel universe is that in that Marvel universe, in the Fantastic Four comics, one of the things that Reed and Sue do to help Franklin is that he's best friends with a character named Leech, who is Artie Maddox, who is a mutant. And his mutant power is to nullify mutant powers so that Franklin can be a normal boy when he's hanging out with Leech. And I'm like, cool, you guys don't have Leech in your universe. You don't have mutants. You don't have any other X-Men characters. You don't have Professor Xavier to help you because your child is a mutant. You don't have none of that other Marvel connectivity that could lead to some of those interesting stories. But they'll figure it out. Doctor Doom's going to kidnap him. Then we saw the Fantastic Four ship pop into the Thunderbolts universe. They're probably looking for Franklin.
It's all going to work
It's
out.
a year and a
That's
half
probably
away.
what
Like
they're
it's
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And I like that they're kind of laying the ground for that, but also they didn't lay enough ground for anything to really make a solid speculation on
Right,
what's
right.
gonna
100%,
happen, you know?
100%.
all speculative.
All
100%.
100%
Yeah.
speculative. I honestly expected to see Sue come in after trying to find the book for Franklin,
Yeah.
and him creating galaxies. Like
Yeah,
he
me
does.
too.
That's what
There's
I
a
thought.
really
It's
gonna be
famous
floating,
Yeah,
like-
I
exactly.
thought it was going to be a showcase of his power.
Exactly. I thought he was just gonna like have a couple of galaxies like in between his hands, right? So the fact that Doctor Doom came in, immediately my brain was like, oh, that's
You gonna
fucking
take that baby?
Battle Planet or whatever it's called. Is it
Battle
World.
Battle World.
Battle
Yeah,
World,
it's
yeah.
Battle World. He's like he's gonna steal Franklin for his powers, and he's figured out how to, get it out of him or whatever. So yeah, I feel like it's really all, unless we get like another project.
Well,
I guess
Spider-Man is next.
I mean, Spider-Man
No.
is not
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
It's
Spider-Man Brand
Doomsday,
New Day.
then Spider-Man, then
Yeah.
Secret Wars.
No, because they moved the date back for Doomsday.
Yeah, wasn't Spider-Man always coming out after though?
No,
Let me
Oh, it's not?
make
it
sure.
was that Doomsday was supposed to come out. Avengers was supposed to come out next May.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man like June, July or something, like a month later.
I thought
And
it was
now-
June, July the following year.
No, now they just moved Doomsday back to Christmas. And as far as I know, Spider-Man Brand New Day, which they're filming right now, is coming out next year.
Oh.
And I'm imagining that it's
Okay.
got nothing to do with Avengers Doomsday
Yeah.
until the very end. It's going to tease
Right.
something, just like Thunderbolts, just like
Right,
Fantastic Four.
right.
It's going to be like Doctor Doom's going to show up or some shit. He's going to be like, Mr. Stark, and then it's going to cut, and we'll see you in a couple months.
Mm.
I imagine
Okay.
that's what they'll do.
So now that we've seen Ironheart
Yeah,
and we have something similar in the magic realm,
interesting.
do we feel like these two projects might intersect at some point? Do we feel like
Which two projects?
Ironheart and Fantastic Four or anything that was
Oh.
presented? So we have Mephisto, we have Galactus now, we have Doctor Doom in play. Do you guys see any kind of connectivity at this point, or do you feel like we still have to wait for Secret Wars and for Doomsday and or anything else? Do you feel like they might come to a head in any of those
I really
projects?
feel like Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to be the Doctor Doom show.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't foresee them bringing in Mephisto.
No.
You know, I think magic will play a part of it, but I think it's going to be tied to characters like Doctor Strange,
Mhm.
Doctor Doom. It's not going to be necessarily them bringing in someone like Mephisto, I don't think.
Okay.
I think if anything, the internet has already speculated this. In Secret Wars, Molecule Man is an important character. He's a Fantastic Four villain who's kind of not all there, but he has like immense, infinite power to reshape molecules in reality. People are saying Doctor Doom might just get Scarlet Witch, might get Wanda Maximoff, Elizabeth Olsen, because she didn't really die at the end of her last movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and they'll grab her. And because didn't they say like she was a Nexus being present
Yeah.
in kind of
Yeah.
every reality or something?
Yeah.
Maybe Doctor Doom will grab her and with her and Franklin Richards and maybe somebody else, maybe like Ms. Marvel and her nega bands or something like, or Shang-Chi's rings or something. It's like, that's how we get.
I mean, I
The
wouldn't
most
put it
power.
past
Yeah.
him because
Yeah.
ultimately that's what Doom wants. He wants to be able to just call himself God of everything. And so pulling everything like that we've seen together
Yep.
is definitely not out of the realm, especially if he can travel interdimensionally and kind of destroy that dimension, but take whatever's important to him from
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
so they don't bug him.
Mhm.
And then take this over here. I'll destroy them.
Goes to the end of time. The TVA kills God Loki.
Yeah.
The god of stories.
Exactly.
Who's like holding on to all the timelines. And he's like, great, I'll just do this. I'll do this. I'll do this.
I wouldn't put it past him that he just destroys all that, just so that he could rule all.
Do you guys
But-
think that Doctor Doom is from that Fantastic Four universe?
I don't think so.
Because they show,
I think so.
They show there's moments where you see like council
Latveria.
meeting and it's like
Yep.
Latveria, and
They
it's
drop
always empty
Latveria
chair,
a
empty
lot.
chair,
They do.
empty chair.
They
I'm
do.
like,
yeah.
They do.
maybe he could be from their universe. Maybe
I
he
don't
could be.
think so.
I think, again, I'm trying to make it fit in my theory. Okay, maybe I'm off, but I think that to go back to my theory of picture a. This is so stupid. Picture a true, real Doctor Doom, an actor like, let's say, I don't know, Javier Bardem. Let's do a hypothetical of like some other actor is playing Victor Von Doom, but he is from the sacred timeline. And a little bit ago, the Fantastic Four became the Fantastic Four.
Mhm.
Doctor Doom using Doctor Strange style spells, erasing everybody's memory, including the audiences, banished the four to a pocket universe or to another reality. Banished them to a reality where maybe he thought, if I take him to a place that has like lesser technology, then Reed won't be able to be who he needs to be. Except even in a future retro world that's all mid-century modern, Reed's a genius and they'll take the technology, whatever. But then once they pop them over into that universe, again, going back to my theory of it starts to change the fabric of reality. Tony Stark becomes Doctor Doom. That Doctor Doom uses Franklin Richards and starts usurping the power of like a Beyonder or God Emperor Loki, God of stories, not God Emperor Loki. That's going to be God Emperor Doom. But then maybe that Robert Downey Jr. goes to the sacred timeline and kills the true Doom or makes it seem like he's dead. And then we have a movie with Robert Downey Jr., 2 movies. At the end of the second movies, that original Doctor Doom shows up like, you try to kill me? You can't kill me. I am Doom. I am the true Doom. And then like somehow the memories of these characters gets restored and Reed Richards is like, you son of a bitch. You took us from our home, right? Like we're supposed to be from here. Wishful thinking on my part. I don't, I just want them to come home, right? I want Ben to have his weekly poker game with the Avengers and Spider-Man to be friends with Human Torch and She-Hulk to be the babysitter of Franklin and to take over when Thing needs a break. and the ghost of Agatha Harkness to be another babysitter that they utilize. And I just want that they're in there for those
all that
reasons.
stuff is good.
Yeah.
I like that the movie did not end with them leaving the planet and joining the 616, or not the is it the
Sacred
616?
Timeline.
Sacred Timeline.
Same thing. Because
Same
it
thing.
definitely would have felt like a see you in a couple of years.
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
audiences don't want that anymore.
Yeah, no.
We don't know if you guys are going to pay this shit off. We want to see a teaser for the very next movie, and we know that it'll pay off. And I think like James Gunn called that out. He knows that. He's like, I'm not putting a teaser in these DC movies unless it's like,
It's gonna happen.
it's a teaser for Supergirl. Supergirl is filmed and done, and it's coming out next year.
Yeah.
So next time we see a Hercules or a Clea, or
They better be in the next
or we
goddamn
hear
project.
Blade's voice, like there better be in the next goddamn
Not
thing.
8 years later.
Yeah.
So with Doctor Doom, we'll see him in Doomsday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In 18 months. The other thing I do want to talk about is the visual effects, because I know that when they did that reel for D23 and Comic-Con, that was a big, that was the test to prove to audiences that they could do it in a year and a half. And a lot of times with Marvel stuff, a lot of those visual effects can be really hit and miss. The style, the look can be hit and miss. This really was the first time in a bit that I was like, this...
Yeah.
Thunderbolts is a little bit of a different story because it's such a scaled down movie.
Yep.
But on like a big scale, this felt like a large scale film that visual effects wise, it really looked great.
It really, really.
There's stuff with Franklin Richards though that does not look
Some
great.
of the baby CGI stuff was bad,
especially
dude. Straight up bad.
when
Thing
Ben
is holding
Grimm
him.
is like holding him and walking around with him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when they go into the wormhole to Galactus's ship, I'm sitting there, I'm going like, man, this feels so Kubrick coded.
Yup.
This feels so Chris Nolan Interstellar coded.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looked really good. It like I felt the intensity, and immediately my brain, I was like, I need to see this on an even bigger IMAX screen.
Right? Yes.
When they were walking on Galactus' ship, I was like, this feels Ridley Scott, H.R. Giger coded. I'm like, this feels creepy, like Alien, like Prometheus. Like, what the hell? Are we about to get like a dick snake monster jumping out? Like, we don't know what's about to happen. From Prometheus. Remember that thing? That vagina snake dick monster?
A ribbed dick
that
monster.
guy was like, oh, let me touch it.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think all those visual effects and Galactus, the scale.
Galactus looked
really
awesome.
great.
Galactus looked awesome. I think the hardest shots were with the baby.
Yeah.
They were, and obviously we know babies. We've seen babies. We are most critical when we see a
we've
face
seen
like
The Flash.
That. We've seen,
yes, not quite
Yes,
at that
we have.
level.
No,
guys.
no,
It's not.
no.
It's not Flash level
Yeah.
bad baby CGI.
Yeah.
But we're overly critical. Even if you're subconsciously you're overly critical and you know what a baby looks like and should move like. There was also some pretty weird compositing around the thing in some areas. It didn't really match with the shot. The compositing lines looked a little bit odd, but that was kind of it. I think
I'll tell you something else.
stylistically,
The choice. I did not like that beard. I did not like that rock
I
beard.
love the
really?
beard.
I was like, I kept looking. I'm like, shave the beard, Ben. I want you to look like normal.
Energy.
I want you to look like normal. The thing. This shave your beard. I know
like
he's
the
had it in the
beard.
comics. I know.
I love the beard.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was just fun.
Sue's
It was.
powers look dope.
Yep.
The stretching
Yeah.
on Mr. Fantastic looked great for the stretching parts that were happening. The fire on Johnny could have been a little bit better, but I also could not complain
Really,
about it at
I
all.
actually really liked it, and I love how much practical lighting they used for it.
Oh, they
Yes.
did.
Like there's
Okay.
the part where it goes all black,
Yeah.
and then he lights up. You can tell they probably have some practical lighting attached to him.
I see.
Great.
And it really matters. Like it really sells the effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for
it
sure.
looks
I
a little bit different than like how Chris Evans looked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked really, really good. And I also thought Silver Surfer looked really great.
The Shia LaBeouf stuff was great.
Really, really
They
good.
kind of changed her textures throughout the movie. So there was one moment where Johnny could see himself in her face.
very
shiny.
reflective.
Very chromy, very
Yeah.
shiny, reflective. But other moments where she looked like
Gray.
thick lead,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like die cast metal.
Yup.
Yeah.
That she looked just heavy
Yeah.
and menacing. And so I really like how they kind of played with that.
Yeah, and I know for the Galactus stuff, they built a suit for Ralph Ineson to wear.
Cool.
And then they photographed it like it was a miniature. So really deep focus.
Cool.
Because he's so fucking huge. And there's obviously like CG enhancements on his face to make it blend with like the style of armor. But it looks really great.
Yeah.
Really,
Galactus.
really
I have zero complaints about Galactus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, I was worried. I thought it was going to be the mechanized machine version of Galactus, which
Yeah.
is like some
He had a
weird
face.
version of Galactus. But I do like that he explained that he was once a man and he was tiny He was like, what did he say? He was like, I was
tiny
once
as
tiny
you or
like
whatever.
you or something.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
that, producer Mark? Like Omnicron from from Transformers. Yeah, just like a big, just all this tech stuff.
Yeah, I was afraid that they were just gonna like have him sit in his giant world-eating ship or whatever, and that's how he ate worlds. Like, no, this dude was gonna go out and devour this planet.
That reminded me of some other things I want to talk about. I also think that like the reason for this whole movie to be set in its own universe, not just for audience accessibility, but I also think they wanted to do Galactus. They wanted to do the coming of Galactus. And even though that comic came out and there was already a pretty good living, breathing Marvel universe, you cannot do that movie in the modern MCU without the involvement of every other character. Captain America, the Avengers, the Thunderbolts, like Doctor Strange, like
that would have
Spider-Man.
had to have been an Avengers movie.
It would have. And I think they just were like, it's just too many characters. We just want to do Galactus. But if it's in its own universe, there's no other characters to come to the rescue. And so as I was watching it, I was like, I kept thinking too, I'm like, could they have done this movie in like the modern MCU and just still tried to have audience accessibility? But other than we're losing the style, of course. And I don't even think the story would work in the sacred time. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of that, it's like you need to have them be really isolated and on their own. Reed can't call up
so specific,
right? He can't call up Stephen Strange, Wong. He can't call up Shuri
Xavier.
and Wakanda. He can't. No one. It's like, how do you solve this problem? And the other thing I love is that even at the end, when I think audience, we knew that like Shia LaBeouf, Silver Surfer was going to come in and you know, but Johnny had that great moment of sacrifice before that happened. I just love that they came up with a plan. Also, going back a minute, to teleport the entire Earth is such a zany.
That was crazy.
Dude, it's such an insane, like comic book, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, Jack Kirby concept.
And I thought that's where the movie was honestly going to end.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's what they'll do. But you cannot also do that in the sacred timeline. It would have been way too many things involved and too many things happening. Like Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers would have been like, I'm not letting you do that. Like we're like a part of the space community. And anyway, but then going back to the actual final conflict with Galactus and them using the baby as bait was so silly and so fun. But the moment where it just became a physical fight against Galactus, I was like, I love this because the 60s Galactus story didn't really have this, but the 80s Galactus comics where it was done by John Byrne, where Galactus came back, there's a full-on physical fight. Like Reed is stretching to try to trip Galactus and the Thing is like punching at him. You know, the Human Torch is just shooting fire at him. So I was like, they did it. It's a big action spectacle.
They threw a gas truck at him and tried to light him on fire.
Sick, dude. It was awesome.
And he was just like, what is this?
And it was Sue who knocks his ass back.
Yeah, amazing.
That use of power was
great.
So good.
Phenomenal.
So good.
Really great. So I'm happy about all that.
Did you guys, so I don't want to compare it too much to Superman, but the question I want to ask is, both of these movies have sort of the job and responsibility of reintroducing these characters to new and old audiences without doing the origin story.
Yeah.
One movie decides to do flashbacks and to sort of explain their origin story, most likely because the Fantastic Four are just not as well known as Superman.
Sure.
Did you prefer it one way or the other, or do you think both approaches serve their own individual stories?
Yeah, the second one. I think you need it for the Fantastic Four, especially if it's retro future 60s. Just make them astronauts.
How did we get here?
It all fits into that sort of like the greatest generation is going to go to the stars. You know, it all fit. All that backstory stuff is a good bookender.
And it's quick. It's not like it spends like an hour.
Yep.
It's like 10 minutes.
Listen, the fact that we didn't see them hit with cosmic rays, but then when they landed, the Thing's arm punched out. Like it came back changed. Poof.
Yeah.
And you hear it. I think they use audio at one point when they're explaining it.
They hear the radio transmission.
But then like, it's like, we got powers. And then Reed just starts stretching and he shows up. I was like, this is all I want. This is perfect. This is enough.
I agree. I think it was the appropriate amount of backstory because nobody wants to spend an entire movie on the backstory.
Right.
And that's what the tendency was, right? It's just like, we don't need another Iron Man 1. We don't need another Cap 1. We have a really cool idea. And we're going to stick with this. So I do like the fact that both of the stories just kind of truncated the origins.
Yeah.
We're just like, let's just jump into it.
You're just thrown into the world.
I think audiences are ready for that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody needs another origin story.
Right.
Pause. I disagree. What? Superman did it better? Okay. Producer Mark says Superman did it better.
Okay.
With like...
Okay.
Oh, sure. Just the text at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sure. I will say that like
the scroll, I should say.
I think Superman is the ultimate example of we don't need it because we know the character. Maybe Batman's origin is more well known, and Spider-Man's a close third of bit by a spider. But I think
those are the top three most famous comic book characters.
But I think that the Fantastic Four, when you're looking at like the 60s stuff and the Jack Kirby stuff, that first issue is iconic. But I also think they were smart to go, okay, a couple years into it, they do Galactus. This is them at their peak. Let's do this story. Looking at Superman, they're like, his first issue, his origin is not his peak story. We can do other stuff, and we've already seen it. But I will still go to bat and go, it depends on what the character is to get an origin story. You feel for the character when they go through something, when they go through a change. And in the superhero context, you know, I loved Blue Beetle's origin. I wouldn't want to jump into Jaime Reyes. I've been the Blue Beetle for 2 years. I'm like, whoa, hang on. Your family's involved. So I want to see for future Marvel characters that we haven't seen yet. The beautiful thing is you don't need it with the X-Men. They don't have an origin per se. Their origin is just a young kid just shows up to the school and somebody's teaching whether it's Jubilee or Rogue or Shadowcat or whatever. That's the origin. You can just have concepts explained, but like we don't need to see Jesus, Charles Xavier meeting Magneto again. You know, we don't need to see First Class. We don't need to see Wolverine's origin. We don't need that. And that's kind of the beauty is I think that the final frontier of like Marvel characters that haven't been done in the MCU yet, they're just X-Men.
Yeah.
There's no other major, we've gotten everybody, there's no other major character. And if there is, what's that?
Ghost Rider.
Yes, but we got Robbie Reyes in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we have the Nicolas Cage movies. I think even with Ghost Rider, if they like, I don't want them to bring back Nicolas Cage, but if they do like a Johnny Blaze version or bring back Robbie Reyes or a new Ghost Rider or whatever, I think you can jump into a more interesting story than their origin necessarily, than like the curse or what. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I think a Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes story would require an origin story.
Fair enough.
I think so because that character has been so far removed. Nobody talks about Ghost Rider.
I know.
Nobody really remembers Ghost Rider.
And he's a super popular character.
And he's a super essential character in the comics. This dude can wreck a lot of people. And so I feel like he really needs to be kind of introduced in his own way because he's a special or a different kind of entity in the MCU.
The supernatural side. You're right. We've already gotten street level. We've gotten now Fantastic Four. We haven't gotten X-Men yet.
Right.
We've gotten sorcery and magic.
Right.
I mean, maybe we're missing like Blade with more supernatural stuff, but we do not need an origin for Blade. Like we just get Mahershala Ali in that coat.
Let's just start the techno music.
Let's go.
Start the bloodbaths. That's all we need.
That would be so sick, dude.
Vampire slaying and techno music. That's all I want from Blade,
dude. The first word out of Mahershala's mouth in the movie is like motherfucking vampires, and then let's go.
Vampires. So motherfucker's always trying to skate uphill.
All right, let's get it out of the way. Okay, let's do this.
That's all I want.
So yes, but you know, with maybe lesser known characters, and with the TV shows, we had She-Hulk, we had Moon Knight, we had Ironheart, we had Ms. Marvel. They were all origin stories to a degree.
Yeah.
I just think you figure out what to do, but certainly not with characters that we've seen before in movies. We don't have to. So no X-Men origins. I don't think we're getting those anymore. Thank God.
But I feel like to me, I don't want to compare the two movies, Superman and Fantastic Four, because I really love what Superman is doing in the movie space in general.
Same.
I feel like it almost makes me emotional seeing people so tied into the idea of kindness is the new punk rock. Like people are really taking that to heart. And I really love that change is kind of happening specifically with Superman because he is the character that needs that the most. That is kind of the key concept that makes Superman work, that he is the ultimate kind guy who's going to do good because that is what he does. That's his main goal in life. And to have that be, that's what that movie's doing. Fucking awesome. I think what Fantastic Four is going to do is re-energize a kind of stale state that the MCU is in.
Yeah.
I feel like people are going to watch this movie and be excited again for what the MCU is doing because it doesn't really have the multiverse baggage. It doesn't have the infinity baggage. It doesn't really have any of that stuff. And it tells a good story with cool characters in a cool medium. The visuals are on point. The writing specifically is on point. The jokes feel different in this movie. They don't feel kind of as goofy. They feel a little bit more refined.
This movie's pretty serious at times, dude.
This movie, the stakes are high.
It's not as fun as Superman. I'll say this.
It's
like
not.
Watching it, I was like stressed the whole time. Like Galactus is going to eat him.
Exactly.
I have fun, but it's not as fun.
Sue's going through shit. Sue gave birth in the middle of going faster than light speed.
Was kind of nuts.
Yeah, it was
fucking
awesome.
Crazy. And,
it was awesome.
And all of
Vanessa Kirby is incredible.
Every part of the production of this movie really kind of reinforced and made their acting and everything better.
Yep.
Because everything was so well done. So I do think these movies are very different, but I do think they're going to serve their respective franchises in the same way. It's just going to make it better.
You're right. And and there is something so interesting that it is Fantastic Four and Superman who
The
are
OGs.
the beginnings of their
OGs,
respective universes that we're getting in not just the same year, the same summer.
Yeah.
And it
Same
feels like
month.
Yeah.
it feels like, rights issues this, rights issues that, but it does feel like sort of like the culture and politically and how everyone's kind of been feeling maybe the pendulum swinging the other way of like kindness is the new punk rock, the stuff that James Gunn is bringing in his Superman movie, and this movie having that real heart of, I mean, I think it nails the characters. And
Absolutely.
it's like, it is crazy to go back and read those original comics from the 60s from Jack Kirby, because it so sets up the Marvel style and the entire purpose of Marvel Comics, which is like these great entertaining stories for young people, but they're morality tales. And these characters, the Marvel characters, are flawed. They constantly bicker.
Yeah.
And that stuff is in there. They're upset with each other and passionate. And I'm just real happy that we have a Latino man, smartest man in the universe, baby.
That's right,
Let's go. Now Sue's got to meet Namor. You know what I'm saying? Too spicy.
Aye.
Latino heat.
Yeah.
I think for a sequel, the thing that I want is I want to see Johnny and Ben a little bit more developed.
Yeah.
I liked the moments that we have with Ben Grimm, but there's, like he goes to a Jewish temple.
Yeah.
But because I don't know his backstory well enough, I would have never put it together that actually meant something to him.
Yeah.
So I need a little bit more of I need a little bit more of that kind of depth. I think the thing with Johnny that I like is I enjoy how he is the lighthearted part of the team.
Yeah.
But I want to know a little bit more about his relationship with his sister.
Totally.
I think the stuff that
And
he has with
their
Ben works
parents
pretty
that
well.
their dad survived.
Right.
And I thought when she said Franklin, I thought Johnny was going to say like dad.
Dad. That's what I was waiting for too.
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting
all
for.
that stuff it's ripe for the storytelling. It's all right there.
Yeah.
Especially listen, dude, my favorite Fantastic Four comic still to this day that can make me cry just thinking about it is This Man, This Monster by Jack Kirby. If you were going to read one, go back and read it. It's a 60s comic, but it holds up and it will move you to tears. And you go, this is what these stories are all about. Like pure heroism. And that's a fully Ben, very internal, very depressed about being the thing. We got little pieces of that, but like, I'm sorry, Ben, you got to go through it. Like he is depressed.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
hates his fucking life.
Yeah.
And
He hates the way he looks.
and it's the family and it's Alicia that can kind of help him be happy about that. But yeah, there's a lot to be able to do, man.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, and I did like all of these actors. I think for me, they all worked. Ebon Moss-Bachrach is great. And I loved Herbie. Herbie was such a surprising win
Herbie
for
was
me.
awesome.
I didn't really know how much of the movie Herbie would be in, but Herbie was in quite a bit of the movie and really worked for me. But yeah, it was a really great film. I didn't have any like I don't know. I wasn't nervous going into it because I don't have the connection to Fantastic Four like I have to Superman.
Yeah.
With Superman, I brought a lot of emotion. I brought a lot of baggage. Fantastic Four, the only baggage I brought was those last two movies. Last three movies. And I was like, just be better.
That weren't great.
Yeah, I was like, just do better than that. Just at least be better than those three, and we'll be all right.
Yeah.
So I was really pleased walking out of it, and just felt kind of excited to see where these characters will go next. And whether or not we'll see them back in the retro futuristic 1960s remains to be seen.
I know.
I love the production design of this movie so much.
Pretty great.
It was so well done. I want all of those furniture pieces from their house.
But I want every project moving forward to be stylistically unique and individual.
That detail.
They don't necessarily need to be retro futuristic.
Sure.
They need to have
be very stylized.
Whatever they do, they need to have that attention, that kind of uniqueness that sets them apart from every other project.
Real talk. Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts coming out within a few months of each other. Those are the ones that are sort of like maybe too similar in flavor and in style. They're the military, assassin, mercenary, sort of like modern tech, Marvel
Grayish.
guys. You should have given me a magic thing, a space thing, a fucking street level coming of age thing, an animated thing, all these different flavors instead of. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Producer Mark, any final thoughts, my friend? Medium soft serve vanilla ice cream.
Medium soft serve vanilla ice
great.
cream.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Cleanse the palate.
There's nothing to
Cleanse the
hate.
palate.
And it's great.
No sprinkles ruined it, so that's good.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's just, there we go.
There's no surprise fudge flavors in the middle.
Yeah, I think people who went to go see Superman and really like Superman, if you do a double feature with that and Fantastic Four.
Oh, what a good
I
double
think you're gonna have
feature,
a
dude.
fun superhero day.
In 3D?
Oh my god!
I think you're gonna have a really fun superhero day.
Yeah.
It was
If
solid.
you feel burnt out on superhero movies, these two might,
These
Yeah.
two
reinvigorate you
gave
a little
me
bit.
a lot of hope that if these two movies can sort of set the tone and sort of set the vibe for what they could do in the future, please do more of that.
coming.
I've seen a few TikToks now, but I've seen people go like, I normally hate superhero movies, but I really like Superman. And it just makes me want to reach in there and go, then you don't hate superhero movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I think you like them. It's okay. You can say that. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can say that. So I'll take it. Whatever. I'll take the win.
I will reiterate, this is definitely a made for IMAX movie.
Oh yeah.
Go see it in IMAX. And if you have an IMAX theater near you that does the full 143, I think it's going to be really cool to go see Galactus in that
Biggest
format.
screen,
Yeah.
clearest format, biggest sound, whatever you can do.
Yeah, and
go
I think
see
they
it.
offer that in 3D also. So
Dude, really good running.
He's charging. He's charging.
Really good. That's
Right?
looks exactly like the movie.
Yeah.
He just needs the beard and the shirt.
Exactly.
Really good, bro.
Exactly.
Dang.
I think this is also going to look awesome in 3D.
Oh yeah, I can't
Holy
wait. I can't
shit.
wait. That's
Yeah,
my
me
next
too.
viewing in 3D.
There's going to be a lot of cool stuff
For
in
sure,
3D.
for sure.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
gonna have to import that from Japan.
Oh, God.
Damn it. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. How did you feel about the movie? What did you like? What did you not like? What do you think they could improve for the future installments? Let us know. And maybe some theories that you have for Doomsday and Secret Wars. Was that Robert Downey Jr.? Let us know in the comments below. Check out everything else we're watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Heroes Reforged is gonna react. Heroes Reforged is gonna review. Heroes Reforged is gonna discuss. That's why we are watching